Hi, hi, hi. It's Friday, and it's just me this week. Me and you. And we're talking about one of my favorite subjects, beavers. I wrote the questions down in my handy little green notebook, just in case I forgot. Here we go. Question number 1. What have you learned from being part of the Beaver Bunch? I've learned that the internet is a powerful, powerful thing, and it can be used for good or evil. I've learned that you most often find strengths and weaknesses, and in places where you're going through the hardest times, or you're going through a rough spot, is often when your true character shows through. So, as silly as it is, making a video for 8 minutes once a week, it doesn't seem like a really big thing. It doesn't seem like it would affect you as much as it has affected all of us, but it really does. It forces you to look at the sections of your life that you don't necessarily think about all the time, and the ones that you do think about all the time, and it becomes a lot more clear who you are and what you want, and the power that you have with that. Which brings me to my second question. What have I learned about myself? I've learned I've still got a lot more growing to do, and I've learned not to sweat the small stuff, in the sense that you're constantly changing. Your opinion to all of these questions doesn't really matter. It really, really doesn't, because 10 years from now you might have a different opinion. You might have a different perspective and different experiences that lead you to a different conclusion. But the important part is how you come about those conclusions, and the way in which you interact with the people that are struggling around you. I think that I've learned that I'm a lot further along than I give myself credit for, and that it's okay. It's okay not to have all the answers. It's okay to be a goofball. I've learned to appreciate the silent ones, because I know that 6 people aren't making our views skyrocket. It takes a community. It takes each and every one of you, and just because you're not commenting doesn't mean you aren't there. It doesn't mean you aren't worth something. So I've actually taken that into consideration in reality, as far as living in a small town, as far as meeting people on a daily basis that aren't necessarily okay with who I am and with how I live, and they don't know much about it, and I'm okay with that, because I consider them to be part of the silent. I consider them to be the ones that we have yet to educate, and if we don't give those people the credit and the time and the patience, then what's a channel like this for? Most of us are already okay with ourselves. We're already confident, and we're already proud of the community, and as great as it is to celebrate us, we also need to be patient with the ones that are still struggling. What has surprised me? You guys. All the viewers have surprised me, because when I did my audition video, I totally didn't expect this huge, huge part of my life. I didn't expect to get in, so I thank the Beaver Bunch for that, and I didn't expect to build such strong relationships with all the beavers. I didn't expect to get such great responses from all of you. I didn't expect to touch people. I didn't expect to change lives. I didn't expect to make you laugh. I didn't expect much of anything, so I think everything about this experience has surprised me, and in turn I've surprised myself. What motivates me to continue? I think the biggest motivation is my siblings, because they're 16, 13, and 5, and I want them to grow up in a world where it's okay. It's okay for you to be who you want to be. It's okay for you to have the opinions that you have, and as long as you're respecting people while you do it, it's okay. And I think we're getting there, and I think that a lot of the things that we're doing, that my generation is doing, and that the generations before us have done, all of those things are helping to make this world that one. But I think that we still have a lot of growing to do, and I think that we still have a lot of educating to do. So my motivation is for them. It's for all the beavers that don't know they're beavers yet. My favorite topic? I gotta be honest, I love the questions game. Love it. Those books that are like 400 or 500 pages that have all sorts of questions and scenarios and possibilities, and you have to give your opinions on what you think you do. I love those kinds of questions. So my favorite topics that we've covered are questions that push us out of the box. Questions that made me think, that flip the roles, that flip the script, if you will, on our opinions, because I know my coming out story inside and out, you know, and I know my opinions on marriage and on equal rights and on gender roles and all the things that I've already figured out in my head. I know the answers to, and as much as I know that those videos have made a difference, the videos that I like the most are the ones that make me figure out new things about myself, are the videos that make me push myself and find the answers that I don't already have. The best and worst thing about being a beaver. The best thing about being a beaver is the connections. I've made so many friends and just had a lot of really, really good times through the internet, which is really, really weird for me. And the worst thing about being a beaver... Bees. The worst thing about being a beaver... I think the worst thing about being a beaver is probably that it's not as candid as I would like. You know, I try my best to display myself as accurately as possible and to be as natural and candid as I want you to see me, but I mean, everyone fails to a certain degree, you know, and you can't know quirks about people over the internet. You just can't, you know. It takes real life and mannerisms and body language and gestures and how people interact for you to really know them. And so those are the things that I wish we could portray as beavers, you know. Okay, I'm done. I'm over it. This video's been super serious. I hope you got something out of it. It's hot. I hope you're having a good summer. I hope you're using your time wisely. I'm rambling. I'm gonna go. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Check you later.